One more thing I really want to talk about is Youngeun. I think Youngeun would kill this era. Hello guys, it's me, Cruel. This is an album review here on the YouTube channel for Kep1er's Bubblegum album that came out on 19th August. So it's been not even 2 weeks at the time of us recording this right now. I'm also live on the Twitch channel right now while we're doing this. So if you see some peeps commenting down here, which maybe might not happen that much when I'm yapping now, you know why. So I've never really done one like this since 2019, where I used to do more album reviews, where I actually talk and give you guys my feedback. So what we've done an album listen on the Patreon the day after this came out. So that was my first impression listens. First impression, I liked Yum, the Korean version, the most. It's a remix of the Japanese version. Not only is it obviously more in Korean, and we changed all the Japanese lyrics either into Korean or English lyrics, but also it actually has somewhat of an EDM slash, I want to say almost techno remix to it, that is for the most part pretty subtle, but if you really pay attention, it actually changes the song quite a lot. Especially the vocals stick out a lot more. So that actually is something I like a lot more than the Japanese version. I still like the Japanese version. I still think it's one of the best Kep1er albums, and I think this song is honestly maybe the song of the year for me so far for 2025, the Yum Korean version. I will count it as an original song, because it kind of really is. It really feels completely different to the Japanese version. But I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. I want to also talk about some generic things first. I just wanted to get it out there that Yum is that fucking song. You know, it's that song. It's that song for me. I'm going to try to keep a bit of a structure in the review. Bear with me. It's my first one, really. So I'll wing it a bit. First and foremost, the credits. There's no member credits, so none of the members have written any lyrics for this album, nor have they produced anything. I think they have written some lyrics before for other albums, although rarely. It has not happened in this album. The only real interesting thing I can say about the credits for this one is that for AOTY, Jhun, which is a pretty popular, pretty big name in terms of producing, is actually one of the producers of AOTY. He is not the main producer of AOTY. He only helped with it, so he's not really responsible for it that much, but he helped with it. That's a thing to say. And the only other thing that I find really interesting here is the Don't Be Dumb, and I can show them real quick actually. These are the credits. Don't Be Dumb and Yum, the Korean version, both have KZ as the main producer actually. The main composer and main arranger here as well for Don't Be Dumb. But yeah, main producer of the song Don't Be Dumb and main producer of the song Yum Korean version. And both songs are honestly headbangers. They're insanely bangers. And I can see how that's the same person. So that's interesting. Same person, at least primarily, right? There's obviously a lot of other producers that helped out. So just wanted to mention that. That's all for the credits though. For me, first impressions, once again, Yum was my favorite song, the Korean version. I love Bubblegum as a title track. I think it does a fantastic job. We can talk technically a lot about the music video and the concept, and going with that also the challenges they do right now are great. Very popular, have a whole bunch of really cool feature artists coming on, and I'm addicted to the challenges, to be honest, and I'm also very addicted to the title track. I think it's the best Kep1er title track ever since Wadada, I want to say. Personally, for me, it's what Kep1er's identity really defines. I think they're essentially, for me, they're a badass concept group, and they do EDM slash really aggressive pop super well. Pop rock EDM, they rock that shit. And Bubblegum is just that for me. It really just fits in the mold. And I want to say it's probably even better than Wadada. The more I think about it and the more I really get into it and the more I listen to it, I like Bubblegum so much. Other than that, Don't Be Dumb, great song as well. Actually, initially, I liked it more than Bubblegum even. But we later today, on the stream earlier, we rated the songs again. Well, I did for myself, right? So this is my opinion. Objectively a bit more, not as subjective as I rated them on my first impression. And I actually realized Bubblegum is a better song than Don't Be Dumb. Don't Be Dumb is a banger, but I want to say it's just a little... it doesn't have that it factor to it. I think Bubblegum when I hear that anywhere outside, let's just say I walk through the street, I hear like bubblegum playing in a store, I know, oh my god, that's Kep1er bubblegum. I know it immediately. If Don't Be Dumb plays, I just like, oh, that's a banger. It sounds like K-pop. What is that? I wouldn't immediately recognize it. It's not having that it factor. So for me, bubblegum is the perfect title track, and I like it more and more. Don't Be Dumb is still a great song, and I will definitely bang my head to that a lot. AOTY. AOTY is the last song I want to talk about. There's an intro technically called Taste Better, but we're gonna ignore that because it's a 1-minute intro that doesn't really do anything. It's nice, I guess, but like, I don't really care about it. AOTY as a song had high potential. It had really high potential. Initially, it was my least favorite song, and it stays to be my least favorite song. However, it's not a bad song, actually. It has a lot of potential in it. However, I think there's no progression. I think the song has a great pre-chorus, chorus, post-chorus section. It's amazing. It's so catchy. However, they don't change it up at any point in the song. They have a completely out of nowhere, really weird bridge. And then the last chorus right after is completely the same as the first two. There's no additive instruments added in the background. There's no like hype epic last chorus going on, which they really should have done with that song. I think wasted potential there at the end, and that song could have been a lot better. This album is still, and I will show you now, this album is actually in my all-time album ratings, where I have rated almost 300 albums now over the course of 6 years. Okay. As you can see, it's right here on number 2. Alright, Kep1er Bubblegum is my number 2 favorite K-pop album of all time that I've rated the way I rate albums, which is about 300 albums at this point. Pasta Maria is the only album that beat it. Oh my god, I cannot speak English. That beat it. And that's crazy to me. I did not expect that going into the album rating I did earlier. I did not expect that. I knew this was a great album. I knew it was gonna rate well. But second place is insane to me. Holy shit. I was a bit surprised at myself there. But yeah, it's a great album. TLDR, I love this album. I think it really, really brings back Kep1er's energy, and like, it's just a banger album, you know? What can I say? It's a banger album. I love that they're going back to this after the What Are The album. I think they had a lot of trials and errors throughout their years in terms of what they did with the albums, but I think this just works best. And I'm happy they tried it again, and to me it worked. However, now we talk about the numbers a little bit. I don't know if it worked for other people. Quite interesting is it didn't do that well in the sales department. It only sold 86,000 so far. That's granted only 2 weeks from now, so it might be a little better after. However, it definitely didn't increase either, you know? First week sales of 86,000 is not insane to me. They literally sold 184,000 with Tippy Tap, which is also an album already with OT7, you know? So it's not even the reason that OT7 happened that they dropped in numbers now. And another big thing that they dropped in numbers is Spotify listens, Spotify plays, which is insane to me that Youngeun, not only as the Korean version now, but also before that as the Japanese version that came out earlier this year, only has 3.2 million plays on Spotify. That's nothing. That's nothing. Tippy Tap had, well, also only 5.8 to be honest. But like, I mean, come on. Giddy had 15 million. Shooting Star had 16 million. We don't have to talk about Wadada. Up had 61 million. Is 3 million for Youngeun? I think Youngeun is honestly probably the best Kep1er song. I don't see a better Kep1er song. I just don't. And personally, I even like the Korean version more. So I think both versions are de facto the best Kep1er songs. So I think it's crazy to me that that song didn't pop off, and I'm a bit worried. I'm a bit worried for the future. I don't know where we're going now. You know, we are only OT7 now, which is great. We're still a group. We're still performing. We're still making music. However, I don't know how long their contract is that they made with Clap Entertainment, their new label. I worry that it's only like a 2-year extension or something. And if they don't do well enough, which in my opinion, with these sale numbers they have, is not well enough. Definitely not. I mean, they're literally just dropping even more than they used to before. So it's just going downhill for no reason, in my opinion, because honestly, both Tippy Tap album, which wasn't that bad, and now Bubblegum, which was insane, give a lot of like hope for the future, in my opinion, and especially Bubblegum, where we're going back to what they're good at. So I'm really, really confused as to why it doesn't get more attention. And honestly, very worried for the future. One more thing I really want to talk about is Youngeun. I think Youngeun would kill this era. Bubblegum as a concept and dance, oh my god. But also hearing her voice in songs like Don't Be Dumb and honestly even Ice-T, it would be so cool. I think Youngeun is basically the best for this kind of concept. Just think back on what they did with the girls, you know, on Queendom 2, the girls. Oh my god. I can never forget that performance from Youngeun, and for me, this is her style, perfectly her style, and I'm so sad she's not here for that. It is what it is, obviously, we take it, it is what it is. She has health reasons and hopefully she gets better, and that's more important than anything else. But come on, man, Youngeun in this would be so insane. I cannot even imagine her being in the center there at the end of the song. I would kill to watch that song live with Youngeun, and I mean, we get that in the future, fingers crossed, knock on wood. So I'm very excited for that, to see the Youngeun version of Bubblegum, the Youngeun version of Yum, to be honest. Those two songs performed live, I want to see that so bad. And yeah, I've seen them live already. I want to see that so bad though, oh my god. And yeah, that's really about it for this album, to be honest. It's my number 2 K-pop album of all time. I didn't really expect that going into this. That is crazy to me, and I think they did everything right with this. I think the whole album, from top to bottom, has a nice, complete, coherent feel to it. No song really stands out as something that's like completely different. I do want to say the Ice-T bridge is like a little bit weird and out of nowhere. That is like the only thing that doesn't really make sense in this album, but everything else is so coherent, and I think the remix that Yum Korean version is to the Japanese version is amazing. You might not be the biggest fan of it. I can see how some people like the Japanese version more. It's a lot more like pop rocky. Well, no, less rock actually, so it's more poppy, I guess. Whereas the Korean version is obviously a lot more like EDM and like, well, ravey, right? So I get that. Tastes are different. However, I do think the Korean version would, like, it just fits better with the rest of this album than the Japanese version would. If they put the Japanese version in the same album with Bubblegum and Don't Be Dumb, I don't see that much. I really don't. I don't think that makes sense. I think the Japanese version would maybe fit in with the first album, the one with Wadada and Mask. I can see that a little bit, which was a lot more pop and like elegant of a style, you know, and sound, to be honest. So the Japanese version fits in with that, which is also a great version, don't get me wrong. But I do think the Korean version really defined this album, and together with Bubblegum, really. And then Don't Be Dumb was just there to hold it all together and just give us another headbanger. And Ice-T, you know, is that like black sheep that is a little bit like, it could have been great, it could have been like Don't Be Dumb. Very different song, but very similar kind of banger style, like Don't Be Dumb. However, they dropped the ball there towards the end, and I don't know. For people that don't like Jhun, you might blame it on Jhun. I wouldn't. I don't think we will ever find out who actually is responsible for that out of all the producers that made that song. So it's impossible to know. But if you really want to feel good about yourself and you hate him, there you go. Blame Jhun for this album being not a 10 out of 10, but maybe like a 9 out of 10 or a 9.5 out of 10. It's honestly amazing. I'm very happy with this album. And yeah. Kep1er Bubblegum. If you haven't listened to it, please give it a try. It's so good, and maybe it will be really high in your album ratings as well, and rankings. If you have them, if you don't, maybe in your imaginary ranking. I want to say this is quite clearly the best album of 2025. Although it only really has 4 songs, and one of them is a remix, but to me that counts still as an album. It's a mini, it counts. It's the best album of 2025. It's gonna be hard to beat, I'm not gonna lie. Kep1er Bubblegum. Final score? Do I have a final score? I want to say it's a 9 out of 10. I think that's a very fair score. I think Ice-T really drags it down. But other than that, I don't see how it could be much better than this. Honestly, sure, Taste Better could just be a full song and not an intro. That'd be cool too. I think as an intro, it just doesn't really do anything. So I would rather it's just not there. Or it's a full song. Both would be great. But if it's a full song and it's not a good song, that would drag down the album a lot. So hindsight is 2020. I want to say the intro being kind of irrelevant and Ice-T dropping the ball is enough of a reason to drop it down to a 9.0 out of 10 though. But still, that's an insane score. That's it. Thanks so much for watching the album review. A bit scuffed, I know. I tried my best to make it a little bit fun. Let me know what you thought in the comments. You know, I might do these more often. We'll see. We'll see. I like doing reviews. I yap a lot and I have a lot of opinions. You know that from my reaction videos, and especially if you watch my streams. So you wouldn't be that surprised if you watch me a lot. However, I want to make it a bit more of like a thematic video where I actually just talk about the album and give maybe some more insights, you know, like the credits, for example, or also based on the sales, how are they doing? Maybe why do I think the album really worked well together? Those kind of things. I might not be the most technical, knowledgeable person about like musical instruments and like synthesizers and actual production credits and all that. I can tell you a bit like base value, like I did about Young Korean version, where I quite clearly can tell that the vocals stand out a lot more than in the Japanese version because of the way they rearranged it for the Korean version. Not just because of the language, but also because of the EDM input, you know? So I think that made the song a lot more crisp sounding. Even if you ignore the EDM part of it, just the vocal part is just a lot more crisp than the Japanese version. It makes the Japanese version in comparison sound a little cheap, which is a bit unfortunate that that is a thing now, because going back to the Japanese version is a bit rough now. But maybe you get used to it after a while, I don't know. It definitely has a bit of a cheap vibe though. But that's really cool, and yeah, sometimes I can tell you stuff like that as well, because I can easily hear the difference with my ears, just because I've listened to music for over 20 years and I love music. I listen to all kinds of music, so I want to say I'm pretty knowledgeable in a way that I have a lot of references in my head, and I know if something sounds like utter trash, and I know if something sounds really well produced. I can tell. I just cannot tell you the exact detail why that is all the time. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and see you guys in another one. Peace.